Present morning, children. Do you know the meaning of man and monster? Yes, I know you know the meaning of man. Man means manava. Another one word is there, that is monster. Monster means danava. Manava and danava. Manavanaguveya illa danavanaguveya. You remember the song Manava and Danava. Monster means Danava. Man means Manava. Monster Rakshasa. One who have the humanity, he is called human or human being. If he is a human being, he doesn't have the kindness, humanity or sympathy, he is called monster. He is called monster. Now let us study about the poem Sympathy by Charles Mackay with a short story. Now let us see the story. What about the sympathy? Just observe. Sympathy, this poem written by Charles Mackay. Here, observe the words. A sweet little girl sees a thin little bird in a park. She is filled with sympathy for the little bird. She thinks that the bird must be feeling very cold since it has no clothes. The bird too feels deep sympathy for the little girl. The bird thinks that the little girl does not have a single feather on her body. So she must be feeling very cold. Thus, both the little girl and the little bird shiver thinking of each other's pain. Here observe the picture of a girl and a bird. She is thinking about that bird, the bird thinking about this girl. Here, a sweet little girl sees a thin little bird in a park. She is filled with sympathy for the little bird. Why she is thinking about that? She thinks that the bird must be feeling very cold since it has no clothes. Observe, that girl wear the clothes and jerkins and sweaters to avoid the cold. But here, this bird doesn't have the sweaters and other clothes. Cloth and cloth are different, children. Got it? Here, then the bird too feels deep sympathy for the little girl. Why? Observe. The bird thinks that the little girl does not have a single feather on her body. Observe the girl. Is she have the feather? No, she doesn't have the feather. Although, but she wear them over the jerkin, either the sweaters, to get rid of the cold. Both are thinking, so she must be feeling very cold, like the bird thinks. Thus, both the little girl and the little bird shiver thinking of each other's pain. Who think about the other's pain, that is called kindness, humanity, sympathy, empathy, love, that pity. These are the different words are there. For that, in a Vachana, Basaveshwara told, ದಯವಿಲ್ಲದ ಧರ್ಮವದಾವುದಯ್ಯ, ದಯವೇ ಬೇಕು ಸಕಲ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ. Daya is very important. Kindness, sympathy is very, very important to the human being. Otherwise, if he is a human being, he doesn't a human being. He is as like a monster. ದಾನವ, ಮಾನವನಾಗಬೇಕು ಹೊರತು ದಾನವನಾಗಬಾರದು. This is the theme of the poem. Now we will move to about the poet Sympathy, Charles Mackay. Observe here. He is Charles Mackay. This picture. Read about that. The poet Charles Mackay was born in Perth, Scotland. The city that Perth was in Scotland. It is a city in central Scotland on the banks of the river Tay. That city located in the near the banks of the river Tay. His father, George Mackay, was a bombardier in a royal artillery, and his mother, Amelia Cargill, died shortly after his birth. Bombardier means he diffused the bombs in the royal artillery. His father's name is George Mackay. Mackay published songs and poems in 1834, A History of London, The Thames and its Tributaries, or Rambles Among the Rivers in 1840. Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds, that was in 1841, it was published. The Mackay wrote a historical romance entitled Long Beard about the medieval rebel William Fitz-Osbert. This is about the poet Charles Mackay. The poet wrote about the sympathy. What was that? Now let us study about the poem, learn about the poem. Just we recite it. Here, I lay in sorrow deep depressed, my grief a proud man here. His looks were cold, he gave me gold, but not a kindly word. My sorrow paused, I paid him back the gold he gave me, then stood erect and spoke my thanks and blesses his charity. I lay in want, in grief and pain. A poor man paused my way. He bound my head, he gave me bread. He watched me night and day. How shall I pay him back again for all he did to me? Oh, God is great, a gold is great, but greater for his heavenly sympathy. Here, the Charles Mackay told about what is the difference between the sympathy and the money or gold. Here gold indicates the money. Got it, children? In the poem Sympathy, the poet describes the incidents happened with him once he was lying on ground due to some incident and was feeling hopeless and full of sorrow. At this time, a rich man came with money to help him, but he feels that the man has the pride of his money and has no inner feelings for him. Observe the first picture, children. Here, he doesn't have the feelings about the poet. He proud about his money. He doesn't have the inner feelings about the poet. After some time, when the poet recover, erect means straight. Here observe, I lay in sorrow, deep depressed. My grief means pain. A proud man or a rich man heard about my grief. His looks were cold. Cold means not a cold ear. Unfriendly. The meaning is cold, unfriendly. His looks were unfriendly. He gave me gold. Gold means money, but not a kindly word. He didn't tell any kindly word. My sorrow paused. The poet's sorrow paused. After some time, when the poet recovered and became able to return the favor to the man who helped him, means the gold, I paid him back the gold he gave me, who gave to him a gold. Now he is able to return that favor to the man who helped him. He goes to meet him and return his money and said how God will reward him also for his good deed life. God will reward him. He blesses us for his charity. Afterwards, again, I lay in want. Want here, not desire, children. Want means if we observe the want and needs, that is different. Want here, I lay in want. Want means poverty, badakana. I lay in poverty. And the very similar incident, before that, what was he faced the incident, likewise, here a very similar incident, the poet was again lying down on the ground with the injuries and full of sorrow. This time, a poor man helped him with no money, but taking care of him until he became fully healthy. Observe. I lay in want. Want means poverty, in grief and pain. A poor man passed my way. He bound my head. Bound is the past tense form of bind, children. Bind means tie a long thin fabric, thin piece of fabric around the something or the head, around the head. If we have the headache, we tie a small piece of fabric or a cloth around our head. He bound my head. He gave me bread. Bread means a food. In a Taiwan, different kind of food. Bread means that is called food or cake. He watched me night and day. That is very important. Along with the sympathy, he watched me night and day. He looks after. He took care. The man stayed with him, stayed with the poet, took very care for him. How the poet recovers. When the poet recovers, even give him healthy food. To restore his health, regain his health. Restore his health means regain his health. This time, here in the last stanza of the poem, how shall I pay him back again for all he did to me? The poet asked a question to all. How shall I pay him back again? Before, in the previous second stanza, I stood erect and spoke my thanks and blesses his charity. I paid him back. Why? Because that pride man gave him a gold, gave him a money to him. Again, he returned to him and blessed him. But now, how shall I pay him back again for all he did to me? Because he took care about him, even gave him a healthy food to restore his health. This time, when he regained his health and status both are, he don't know how to pay the poor man back, because this was not about money. This was about sympathy. For the last two lines, oh, gold is great. Yes, money is great, but greater for means not distance, children. FAR, far and near. Don't write the far and near. Here, for means very much. Oh, gold is great, but greater for is heavenly sympathy. Sympathy is like a heavenly sympathy. ಸ್ವರ್ಗೀಯವಾದದ್ದು, ಸ್ವರ್ಗಕ್ಕೆ ಸಮಾನವಾದದ್ದು ಕರುಣೆ, ದಯೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್, ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಟಿವ್ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ. Great is the positive degree, greater is the comparative degree. Compared to gold and the sympathy, which is great and greater. Gold is great, either money is the great, but the sympathy is greater. That is heavenly sympathy. That word is wonderful word he used, the poet used. Heavenly sympathy. ಸ್ವರ್ಗೀಯವಾದಂತಹ, ಸ್ವರ್ಗಕ್ಕೆ ಸಮಾನವಾದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಕರುಣೆ. ಆ ಕರುಣೆ ಎಂಬುದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೆಲೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಬಸವಣ್ಣನವರ ವಚನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ದಯವಿಲ್ಲದ ಧರ್ಮ ವದಾವುದಯ್ಯ, ದಯವೇ ಬೇಕು ಸಕಲ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ. ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, ಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, ಮನುಷ್ಯರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಅದು ಬೇಕು. ಬಟ್ it didn't pay his deeds, because that was not about money. That was about sympathy for that. Now, children, we will move to here. Observe here how he cares about him. Care about the old person, either the poet, either there. Observe in the first picture, just he gave the money. He doesn't have the feelings, inner feelings. Here, that person care about that the poet. Get it? Next, here some grammar points are here, children. Observe. Let's know. Depressed. Depressed means in great pain or sadness. Grief, deep sorrow. Cold. Cold means that is the not the past tense form of the cool. Unfriendly, unfriendly, cold. His looks were cold. Observe. His looks were unfriendly. Kindly, kind and caring is called kind. Erect. Erect means I stood erect. ನಾನು ನೇರವಾಗಿ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ಅಂತ. I stood erect. When we beg the money, we bend our body. When we beg the money, we bend our body. But here the poet stood erect, stand straight. That is called erect means straight. Charity, kindness or sympathy, empathy, pity, charity. These are the different words are there. Want. Want means that is not a desire, children. Want is different. Here, poverty. I lay in want means I lay in poverty. Bind. There is no word in your that poem. Bind, the past tense form of bind is bound. He bound my head. He bound my head. Bind means tie a long thin piece of fabric around something, around the head. Sometimes if you get the headache, you tie the small piece of cloth, that is called bind or bound. For means not the distance, children. Here, very much, very much. Okay. Thank you all. You should write the that meanings in your CW, children, and you should write in a sheet of paper. Thank you.